Academy Awards come later today, and there are some things you can be fairly certain of. Someone, probably a woman of some fame, will wear something really strange. Odds say it will be Cher, but it doesn't have to be. Number two, someone of some fame will say something pretty dumb. Chances are that too will be Cher, but it doesn't have to be. And number three, the Best Picture award will go to a good movie, but it will not be the movie that people remember when and if they remember the movies of 1991. It'll probably be Silence of the Lambs, but it doesn't have to be. Here now, a look at some of the films from the past that didn't make it and maybe should have.
And the Oscar goes to... Dances with Wolves.
The Academy Award is it's like your high school election for president. You don't elect the person that you think is the best student. That's a different category. You don't elect the person you think is most likely to succeed. It's a popularity contest of the moment.
Rosebud.
I think Citizen Kane didn't win in 1941 for various reasons, one of which was the fear of the backlash from the Hearst newspapers, and one of which was the desire to get even with this 25-year-old kid who was acting like a genius, about whom it was said, there, but for the grace of God goes God.
Could send you prose poems about scenery, but don't feel right spending your money. Stop. There is no war in Cuba. Signed, Wheeler. Any answer?
Yes, dear Wheeler, you provide the prose poems. I'll provide the war.
And many people didn't like Orson Welles and didn't like the way he acted and didn't like his visibility. So, How Green Was My Valley was a very safe, serious film.
Curtin, old boy. It's a great joke played on us by the Lord or fate or nature, whatever you prefer. But whoever or whatever played it certainly had a sense of humor. The gold has gone back to where we found it.
In 1948, Treasure of Sierra Madre didn't win, even though it's now considered one of the great classics, because at the time, John Huston, his father Walter Huston, the subject matter, were too familiar. Hamlet was high art. It was Shakespeare, to be taken seriously. And every so often the Academy wants to show that it is an Academy, not totally wrapped up in simply whatever is popular.
Thus conscience doth make cowards of us all.
On the other hand, in 1976, you had All the President's Men, dealing with the Watergate break-in.
There was so much money floating around that I know that Gordon got part of it. So I said, you mean Gordon? Libby, she said, yes. So L is right. Okay,
you had Network, a political social satire of American television.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it.
And what won? Rocky.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
I think in this case, you might say, All the President's Men wasn't even controversial. It was a kind of journalistic rehashing of what by then was really quite boring, because we all knew it. Network was perhaps a little too close to home for the people in the industry, because the message about American television was, it's all corrupt. Rocky, on the other hand, wasn't a fight film. It was a love story. It was a story of an underdog who simply wanted to go the distance. It was Mr. Smith goes to Washington, fighting forces well beyond him, and at least surviving.
I love you.
In 1967, you had two films that continue to be considered among the great, fairly recent classics, Bonnie and Clyde and The Graduate. The film that won was In the Heat of the Night, which has not maintained the status of being a classic. But In the Heat of the Night was a civil rights film.
You're pretty sure of yourself, ain't you, Virgil? Virgil, that's a funny name for a nigger boy that comes from Philadelphia. What do they call you up there?
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
In the Heat of the Night dealt with race relations in a way that was serious and also very suspenseful. The Graduate was a young man's passage into manhood, not exactly a new kind of film for Hollywood.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me. Aren't you?
And Bonnie and Clyde was attacked by a lot of people as being excessively violent. What seizes our imagination and becomes part of our culture and lasts through time is not the same thing that at the time seemed to be important to people. What seizes our imagination is a film like King Kong, a film like Wizard of Oz, a film like Casablanca, a film like It's a Wonderful Life, that makes us feel nostalgic, but at the same time gives us a feeling that we've lost some kind of life that was better than the ordinary life we're living in. But at the time, when such a film comes out, it may seem perfectly ordinary because we haven't lost it yet.
The fundamental things apply as time goes by.
That was the work of Peter Imber in our Los Angeles bureau, and this World News Now reminder: it is against the law to hold office pools on the Academy Awards. You'll not want to get caught in one of those gambling raids that nailed office